Energy does not lie. I made a video about Mount Shasta, how it was there and the energy was insane. And, it's like when dogs, they pick up stuff and how they perceive energy, they're very intuitive. And I think we've lost that. It's like babies are very intuitive. Like I just met my nephew and he just came up and gave me a kiss. And it was like, he just like knew I was his uncle. It was weird. It's like, and I was like, does he do this to everyone? They're like, no, he just did to you. And I'm like, maybe he's perceptive that I'm empathetic and caring or whatever, but we have it too, and I think we lose it because we're we're socialized, we're manipulated and brainwashed through all the programming throughout our life. We lose that intuition because we're told not to act on the intuition, and your intuition is very when you can really tap into that, you rely on that, and it will always guide you in the right way. And it'll guide you through what you should do with your life, what is the right path. And then when you meet people and you're like, I don't really like this person, I don't know why. And for an instance, when we got to Eugene from Austin, and we drove, and that's when we went to Mount Shasta, and I just got to Eugene, which is not a place I want to be, but I talked about in other videos, like you have to sacrifice things in order to get other things you want in life. And this is a sacrifice. I was living in a trailer. Like, I've created, I'm in a Range Rover right now, and I went bankrupt, lost everything from Amazon business, but I'm like living in a trailer. I feel like I'm going backwards, but it's like, you know what? I have changed the mindset. You have sacrifice. But that's another video. And so we meet this guy, and he was renting this place out, and it was disgusting. Like, you went in there, it was freaking like, it was like dirt on the ground. Everything was so gross. It was from the 19, it was 19, built in 1900, and like looked like it hasn't been cleaned since 1900. And the guy's like talking, he was a big shot lawyer, and he said that he wanted a simple life. That's why he's doing Airbnb, or renting out homes, because he wants a simple life. He just cares too much about people. I mean, and he's going on and on about this, and he said the place was deep cleaned, and he says he just wants to help people out. Like that's what and then when people start saying shit like that, I've learned like, and I'm very like, I just go along with it because I've learned the more you listen, the more people love to talk, and the more that they talk, the more they're gonna give you the real scoop. And so I just sit there, and my mom was with me. We were just listening to him. Yeah, okay, great. He talking about how he's a big shot lawyer and all this stuff, and he just cares so much about people. And he said the place was deep clean, and it was like spider webs and cockroaches. I was like, this guy is freaking bullshit. And he's like, and so then he said he wanted to help people. And then he started talking about how people with mental health are addicts, and that they're sociopaths and all this stuff and borderline. And he's just going on and on. And I'm like, who are you to talk? Who are you to judge, for one? And it's like he was going on about this stuff and how the renters are so horrible, and he just, and I was like, he reminds me exactly of my dad. My dad was the same way. He come off so nice and acting like they know the right words to say to try to fool you. It's a narcissist, right? They're very like, if they very talkative, and they talk about, well, they love to talk about themselves, but they talk about how nice they are and how they care and all this shit. And if you're not careful, they'll bring you in. And he was talking about he just wants a simple life, and the place was disgusting. And then he said he was going to take $25 off the rent. I was like, okay, yeah, okay, great. And then he like afterwards, he kept talking about a narcissist, how there's narcissists out there, and he said he you being in Eugene, he says don't find a woman that and have a kid with her here. You're stuck here forever. And he's like, but I love it here. And I was like, no, you just kind of told us that you don't like it here, and that you're stuck here because of the kid. And then he's saying how his ex was a sociopath, and that all his renters are sociopaths. And my father would say the same thing. Exactly. He called them borderlines. And then this guy said they're all borderlines. And I'm thinking, but first of all, what is a border? I went to therapy school. They don't even call anyone a borderline. Like borderline, they're trying to say borderline sociopath. I don't think they read it in a book once or something. And So the more the guy talks, he talks, and we're pretending like, oh, like we're so enamored by you. So when people when they think that you're gullible and naive, they're gonna just keep going. And so he kept going on and on about, be careful of all the people you hear. They're so, they're all sociopaths, and basically he was projecting. My dad does the same thing. He projects exactly what he's doing to other people, and it's a way for them how to get it off their chest, because they do it, and then if they feel some sort of guilt, they don't even know what that feeling is, but they feel uncomfortable, they have to talk about it. And they also like to talk about themselves, and they feel so good. Like he was telling us about how he was such a great lawyer. But what we realized afterwards is that why would he be a lawyer? He was making all this money, he said, being a lawyer, and then he quit to own a bunch of run down homes and rent them out. And then he was like, then he tried to charge on $50 parking fee and all these other weird things afterwards. I'm like thinking, well, for a guy that makes all this money, why are you trying to charge that? And you were just trying to help people get off the street, after you saying that all the people that can only afford this are addicts and people with mental health. And it was like, why? You don't know anything about that. Like, don't talk about stuff you don't know about, you never been through. You walk in a day of shoes of someone with extreme anxiety or depression, or dealt with addiction issues, and have some freaking empathy, you idiot. It pissed me off. And we get out, and it was like we walk away, and he was like, thank you so much for coming. You could tell he was so high. It was like my dad gets that. They feel so high when they talk about themselves. But it's like, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, well, that's a learning experience. And I've not like the first time it's happened, but when people try to give you, the more, let them talk. The more they talk, the more they're going to give you more information about what they're going to do, how they're going to screw you over. Basically, he was saying he was going to screw me over, and he was trying to tell you, he was projecting it, because even they love to talk. It's like Freudian slips. They just keep telling you things. And a lot of our stuff, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. So we're just saying, except when we're talking, we're just subconsciously saying it. We're not consciously like, oh, I shouldn't tell this person this. He's rambling. So he's rambling. Of course, he's going to ramble it off. And it was a horrible place. The guy was a horrible person. And, so when people say, like, oh, I'm so caring, I just, like, care, and I want to help people, when they're trying to rent you a place like that, but then they're charging you $50 for a parking fee, like, they don't even charge that in, like, LA, like $50, yeah, for a parking spot in Venice. I could see that, but this was like in Eugene, in some, next to some heroin, like people do a lot of like heroin. There's a lot of needles on the ground, and there's like, it's like a huge lot. And so the guy was so weird. And then we see that he was renting it out, the same one, the next unit, but it was remodeled for the same price. And I was thinking, this place is not remodeled. It was like dirt. And the next one, and he said it was deep clean. The next one that he was renting out was actually deep clean, and it was really nice, and it was remodeled. And he was trying to like rent. He was trying to rip us off. So when people try to say they're trying to help you, that's, and they just trying to do the nice thing for you, always be aware, because that's just someone trying to project with how they're going to screw you over, and they're going to tell you how they're trying to screw you over. So that's a lesson I learned, because I think that it's huge to, one is to just stop don't talk, just listen. When you listen, people are going to, they're going to just give you the in scoop. And the narcissist people out there, they love control, and so this guy has the control over people. I think that's what he loved. And also, I think he got divorced. So he got divorced, and the wife was getting half of what he was getting as a trial attorney. So he realized he can create a corporation, and then buy homes, and then rent them out, and control people, and then not give his wife alimony or whatever. That's what I think. But regardless, you find those people, you just move on, and you just get away, because those people will drag you in. And I was like, I have raised my narcissistic father, so I know exactly how they work. And the more they talk, the more they project. But they come off so nice at first. You'd be like, oh, what a nice guy. Well, shit, they have to, because they learn that's the only way they reel you in. And if you ever date a narcissist, they will say the nicest things, bring you flowers, and then when you say you're gonna leave, they bring you more flowers, and they but they go right back to it because that's just they're really just sick individuals. They're like mentally unstable. They don't have any. They're just ego driven, and they have no empathy. They don't even know what empathy is. My father was. They went to a psychiatrist once. My brother made him go, which is pointless because he said the psychiatrist was borderline, of course. And the guy showed him pictures of sad, angry, and happy people, and he said, "Can you tell me what mood these people are in?" He didn't know the difference between a person that was smiling and a person that was frowning. That's some freaking mess up shit. That's the father that I had trying to grow up, and that's what was teaching me about being a man. So to say that I'm not in jail, I think is probably a success, because the person trying to tell you like how to live your life doesn't even know the difference between being happy or sad. I don't know. So be aware of those people, especially if you're an empath, if you're sensitive. You're like a magnet, because you're naturally, you want to see the good in people. You want to see, like, you see the good in people, and I think you always do. I think you want to see kindness in people. You don't want to see the dirt and like the ugly. So you're attracted to people that like that, but those people are the ones that they see you and they're like, oh, this person is like. And especially if you come off naive, I always just come off naive, like I'm dumb, because then they really think they can just mess with you, and I just be like, oh wow, really? And then I realized, but they still get you. I mean, as much as I've gotten away from my father and shit, still gotten people in my life that have turned out to be that way, and that's why I have a dog. So he's tired now, but anyways, this is Daniel with Live Life in Your Flame. I just want to make that video. I don't know why. I'm just making videos again. So if you liked it, you didn't see it, I don't know. I don't really care. Yeah, if you did, thanks. Hit subscribe, share, whatever.